So you may have some idea regarding what is an endocrine gland. For example, thyroid gland, pituitary gland. This type of different glands you might have heard. Now one important feature of endocrine gland is that they are ductless gland. Duct means a tube. For example, if you are taking salivary gland will be situated on our cheek or below our tongue. They have a duct or a tube. The tube is taking the secretion from the salivary gland to our mouth. So majority of the gland are like that. Even our glands in our eyes, tear glands, all these glands are having a tube or a duct. So such glands are known as duct gland. Now, in the use of a ductless gland, they do not have a tube or do not have a duct. What they are doing is that they will be secreting their secretion directly into the blood. And blood will be carrying the secretion to different parts of the body. So that is the way the endocrine glands are working. They do not have a duct, and so their secretions are actually transferred by our blood to various parts of the body. And their secretions are known by the name hormones. So hormones means are the secretions of the endocrine gland. Endocrine glands are making some secretion and they are known as hormones. So it is a chemical produced by endocrine gland and released into the blood, transported to distantly located target organ. Target organ means the organ on which this hormone is producing its effect. That organ is known as the target organ. Now another thing about hormone is that they are non-nutrient. Nutrient means like carbohydrate, proteins, etc. These are all nutrients. But in the use of hormones, their chemical nature, they do not play an important role in any energy production. That is why they are considered as non-nutrient chemical, and they are acting as intercellular messengers. Intercellular means they are communicating between various cells in our body and inside the cell. That is, for example, between different cells, they are giving some kind of messages or some kind of communication. And these hormones are produced by the body in trace amount. Trace means very low, very minute quantity. So these are some of the important features of an endocrine gland and their secretion. Now, if you look at this picture, you can see what are the major endocrine glands of the body. We have pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, pancreas, adrenaline, testis and ovary. These are the various endocrine glands of our body and about which we have to study in detail. The first endocrine gland that we will be discussing is the hypothalamus. Here you can see that hypothalamus is located within the brain. It's actually a part of our forebrain, and it has a different types of function. Wide varieties of functions are there. Now coming to hypothalamus, it contains several groups of neurosecretory cell. Neurosecretory cell means certain neurons are producing some secretion. They are considered as neurosecretory cells called nuclei. So that will be the which it contains several groups of neurosecretory cell called nuclei, which out of some sentence is missing, is the which is producing the pituitary hormones probably. Then hormones produced by the hypothalamus can be of two types. One is known as releasing hormone, another is known as inhibiting hormone. Here you can find the definition. Releasing hormone is something that stimulates the secretion of pituitary hormone, whereas inhibiting hormone are those secretion which prevent or inhibit the secretion of pituitary hormone. So based on their effect on pituitary hormones, whether they are causing the release of pituitary hormone we call it by the name releasing hormone, or whether they are inhibiting the secretion of pituitary hormone, we call it by the name inhibiting hormone. These are the two different types of hormones produced by hypothalamus. And for example, hypothalamic hormone called gonadotropin releasing hormone. It's one type of hormone. They stimulate the pituitary synthesis and release of gonadotropin. So gonadotropin is a type of hormone produced by the pituitary, and in order to release this gonadotropin, hypothalamus need another type of hormone known as gonadotropin releasing hormone. So if this hormone is released by hypothalamus, that will be acting on pituitary, and pituitary will be producing gonadotropin. That is the way of action. On the other hand, somatostatin from hypothalamus inhibits the release of growth hormone from pituitary. Another hormone produced by the pituitary is known by the name growth hormone. So growth hormone is mainly responsible for the growth of the body. For example, in children, this hormone is produced in large quantity. That is resulting in the growth of the child. So in order for the hypothalamus, in order for pituitary to release this growth hormone, hypothalamus will be releasing a hormone known as somatostatin. So when somatostatin released by hypothalamus is reaching pituitary, that will be producing growth hormone. So this is how the pituitary is actually controlled by the secretions of the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus is an endocrine gland. It is actually directly controlling another endocrine gland called pituitary. Pituitary is producing a lot of hormone. So it is sometimes known as master gland, producing different types of hormone. But all the hormones produced by the pituitary are actually controlled or regulated by hypothalamus through its various secretion. So this is the nature of by which hypothalamus is controlling pituitary, and pituitary is producing various hormones. Now we come to the second hormone known by the name pituitary. Here you can see that position of the pituitary is below, on the lower part of the brain. You can see that, whereas hypothalamus is on the upper forebrain. That's how the pituitary. So pituitary is situated on the bony stalk called sella tarsia. See here you can see the position of this. It is in this bony stalk region or the lower region, and that region is known by the name sella tarsica. And is attached to the hypothalamus by a stalk. That is, this pituitary, which is located here, and this hypothalamus are connected by a system of tube. So there is some kind of connection between hypothalamus and pituitary. And coming to pituitary, pituitary is again divided into two regions. One is adenohypophysis and second one is neurohypophysis. So these are the two different hormones of pituitary, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Now in case of adenohypophysis, it consists of two portions. One is pars distalis and second is pars intermedia. Pars distalis and pars intermedia. These are the two different regions of pituitary. Now you can see that the pars distalis is producing different type of hormone known as anterior there is another term called pars distalis region of pituitary. Sometimes it is known as anterior pituitary. It produces growth hormone, prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. So that is the first step. That is, the pituitary is divided into two regions, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Now if you take adenohypophysis, it has two portions. That is, the first region has two portions, pars distalis and pars intermedia. Pars distalis is usually known by the name anterior pituitary and is producing these various hormones, whereas pars intermedia is secreting one hormone known by the name melanocyte stimulating hormone. So that is the hormone produced by the second region, known as pars intermedia. However, in humans, the pars distalis intermedia, then in pars intermedia is merged with the pars distalis. In some other lower animals, we can find separate pars distalis and pars intermedia. But in the case of human beings, these regions are almost merged or combined with each other. Now, as far as the pars intermedia are concerned, this pars intermedia is producing this hormone known by the name melanocyte stimulating hormone, otherwise known by the name MSH. Now we go to the second region. What is the, that is, this is the second region, is known as neurohypophysis. Now if you take the neurohypophysis, there is another term called pars nervosa, then also known as posterior pituitary. So different terms are there. You can either use posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis. That will be storing and releasing two hormones, mainly oxytocin and vasopressin. These are the two important hormones produced by the neurohypophysis. One is posterior pituitary, otherwise known as the posterior pituitary, is releasing oxytocin and vasopressin. Now, over secretion of growth hormone stimulates abnormal growth of the body, leading to gigantism, and low secretion of growth hormone result in stunted growth, resulting in dwarfism. So, as I told you earlier, growth hormone is one of the most important hormone produced by your body, that is resulting in the increased growth of the body, especially in children. If this hormone is produced in only in sufficient quantity, the normal growth is there. Sometimes too much of growth hormone will be produced. Then that person will be looking very tall, too much height will be there. Then it is known as the gigantism. Then another situation, too little quantity of growth hormone is produced. Then they will be very short, maybe 2 feet or 3 feet in height only. That situation is known as a dwarfism. Then we have another hormone known as prolactin. Prolactin is actually a milk secreting hormone. It regulates the growth of mammary gland and formation of milk. So only if prolactin is produced by the body in sufficient quantity, the mammary glands will be producing this milk. So milk is actually produced under the influence of prolactin. Then we have another hormone known as TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. It stimulates synthesis, secretion of thyroid hormones from thyroid gland. So that is the nature of the, so for here we have a thyroid gland. You can see the position of thyroid gland here. It is located in the neck region. So thyroid gland is producing this hormone because of the influence of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. It is produced by the hypothalamus or pituitary. Then ACTH, another hormone is known as ACTH. They will be stimulating the synthesis and secretion of steroid hormone called glucocorticoids from adrenal cortex. That is, if you might have studied about adrenal gland. Adrenal gland are actually, this is the kidney, and on the upper surface of the kidney, the small glands are there, which are attached on the surface of the kidney. These small portions are known by the name adrenal gland. This outer portion of adrenal gland is known by the name adrenal cortex. Inner side is known as adrenal medulla. These are the two regions of the adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. So going to the ACTH, it stimulates ACTH. The full form is adrenocorticotropic hormone. So that will be stimulating adrenal cortex and stimulating it to produce the glucocorticoids and adrenal cortex. These are the two types of hormone. It produces the adrenal cortex to release a hormone known as glucocorticoid. So from adrenal cortex, this hormone known as glucocorticoids is produced. That hormone is produced because the influence of ACTH. Then we have two other hormones known as LH and FSH. They are stimulating gonads or gonadal activity. So the gonads means ovary and testes. And since they are stimulating gonads, they are known as a gonadotrophin. So this is how the LH and FSH are concerned in our body. So then in male, this LH is mainly responsible for the secretion of hormones known as androgen. This male testis is present from the cells within the testis. Luteinizing hormone or LH will be stimulating the production of male hormone known as testosterone or androgen. In male, follicle stimulating hormone FSH and androgens regulate spermatogenesis, formation of sperm in the testicles is known as spermatogenesis. And in female, LH induces ovulation of fully mature follicle. That is, in the case of ovary, there are small follicles and they will be developing into a completely mature follicle. It is known as a Graafian follicle, and each Graafian follicle will be containing a small ovum or egg. The release of this ovum from the Graafian follicle is known as ovulation, and that process is actually controlled by LH. Luteinizing hormone induces ovulation, that is rupture of Graafian follicle and release of egg from it, formed from the remnants of Graafian follicle. Then and also responsible for maintaining corpus luteum. That is, this Graafian follicle, when it is matured, it will be breaking up and releasing this fully mature ovum to the outside. That process is known as ovulation. Then what is happening to the Graafian follicle is that it will be converted into another structure known as corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum is also important because it is helping in the formation of another type of hormone called hormone also. So for maintaining corpus luteum, LH is also playing an important role. So one, it is ovulation, it induces ovulation. Second function is that it is maintaining the corpus luteum. Now second hormone known as FSH, it is stimulating the growth and development of ovarian follicle. So ovary contains ovarian follicle. The development of this ovarian follicle is actually controlled by this hormone known by the name FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. So this is an idea how LH and FSH commonly known as a gonadotropin is producing various kinds of effect in the case of male and female. In male, it is concerned with the spermatogenesis and testosterone androgen formation, whereas in the case of female, mainly ovulation and maintenance of corpus luteum. Then we have another hormone, MSH. MSH means melanocyte stimulating hormone, and that will be acting on melanocyte. Melanocytes are pigment cells which are present on our skin cell, and that will be regulating the pigmentation, how much color, how much pigmentation a person should have. That is actually controlled by MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone, because they will be acting on melanocyte. Melanocytes are cells which are present on our skin. So it is these skin cells, they are controlling the color of the person. Then we have oxytocin. Oxytocin is actually another type of hormone that will be this oxytocin will be acting on smooth muscles of our body and stimulate the contraction, that is during the time of birth, delivery of the baby, the uterus has to contract. This contraction of the uterus is actually stimulated by this hormone known as oxytocin. Sometimes you might have noticed that pregnant women, when they are unable to deliver in time, doctors will be giving an injection. That injection is usually oxytocin. and that injection is containing this hormone known as oxytocin that will be causing the contraction of the uterus and so that the baby will be coming out from the uterus. So that is that hormone which is causing the contraction of uterine muscle is known as the oxytocin. Then this oxytocin has another important role also. Here you can see that milk ejection from the mammary gland. So earlier we have noticed that there is a hormone known as prolactin. So prolactin is responsible for the development of mammary gland. That is, if prolactin is not produced by the body, mammary gland will not develop properly. So for that prolactin is needed. So prolactin causes development of mammary gland and also the formation of milk. But the milk has to come out of the nipple, and for that there is another hormone known as oxytocin. So oxytocin is the hormone that is, for example, when child is sucking on the nipple, this oxytocin will be released from the pituitary, and that hormone is responsible for squeezing out of milk into the mouth of the baby. So there are two hormones are playing. One is prolactin, other is prolactin that causes formation of milk, whereas oxytocin is responsible for ejection, milk ejection or squeezing out of the milk from the breast. So that is known as the oxytocin. Then we have vasopressin. Vasopressin is mainly act on kidney and stimulate the, for example, while studying about the excretory system, we have studied about vasopressin. So it stimulates the reabsorption of the water and also electrolytes, and thereby reduces the loss of water to urine. That is why this vasopressin is also known as anti-diuretic. Diuretic means something that reduces the urine formation. So diuretic means diuretic means something that increases urine formation, and anti-diuretic means something that decreases urine formation. So that is when ADH or vasopressin is secreted more, our body will be reabsorbing most of the water and electrolytes or minerals, so that little urine will be coming out. So that is why vasopressin is also known as anti-diuretic hormone. So this is an idea regarding the various types of hormones produced by our various glands. We have seen that there is an endocrine gland, and we have seen the function of hypothalamus, and we have also seen the functions of pituitary. Then what is remaining is the function of thyroid gland, about which I think we can take in our next class. Okay, so here we will stop for today.